to make sure that everyone gets into this meeting. But really want to welcome everyone to family orientation for 2021, and we will get started momentarily. In killing time that I do while everyone's entering the space, just wanted to share here in Rock Island today. The weather's been gorgeous, sunny, not terribly warm, but a nice pleasant temperature and no rain. And as I look out my office window, just at the beautiful campus, sunny and nice here. So hopefully wherever anyone is tuning in from has had a nice weather day at home as well. But it's been beautiful here on campus, which is such a blessing here at Augustana with the gorgeous campus that we have. And when the weather is so nice, it just makes for a wonderful experience. Even during a pandemic, even it still is gorgeous on campus. So really appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Well, why don't we get started, and those that continue to join from the waiting room here in the next couple of minutes will welcome as they arrive. This is family orientation and what we call session 1. This is a 2-session program. Some of you may have joined us for our April session 2. These are not chronological in order. If you've been to session 2 and are now joining us for session 1, that's wonderful. If this is your first session, that's wonderful as well. And please know in 2 weeks, we will offer session 2, which covers other information that we think is helpful for families. But really just want to welcome you to family orientation and welcome you to the Augustana family. I think we have about 75 different families with us this evening, so really excited to have a nice group with us. My name is Wes Brooks. I have the privilege of serving as the Vice President and Dean of Students here at the college. And I have a variety of colleagues that are joining me this evening to deliver this program for family orientation. Just a few things that I wanted to cover. First and foremost, just being the Zoom setting. With our optical Zoom settings, I'm sure many of you at this point, 15 months after we've transitioned into the virtual world, are familiar with Zoom. But if not, we would encourage you to use the second icon from the left in the top bar of your Zoom screen that indicates that it would show the small active speaker video. By clicking on that second icon from the left, the small active speaker video, it would allow you to see only the active speaker during the session, and then in addition, certainly the PowerPoint slides that we'll share throughout. But whatever settings work for you is certainly the best case scenario. A couple of other things. Please know that we are recording this session. We do so because we actually like to post these sessions on the Augustana Orientation webpage following our program this evening, just allowing for families who are unable to join us live would be able to still get that feedback. If for some reason you're uncomfortable participating in a recorded session, you're welcome to leave at any time. In addition, the beautiful part of this program being that it is live allows for a chat feature. So in the chat function of the Zoom platform, we would encourage you to enter any questions that you have. In addition to our presenters this evening that will speak with you, we also have additional folks on the call that will be monitoring and working the chat feature. And that is a really cool function that you wouldn't have if you were simply watching the recording. So we would encourage you to to use the chat while you watch the presentations if any questions pop up, and we'll try to get those answered for you in real time. Just a couple of things on my agenda before I turn it over to some of the wonderful folks that your students will interact with on a regular basis at Augustana would be just some fall 2021 plans. As we all know, we've been working through our COVID situation over the course of the last academic year, and just wanted to share some information about what next year looks like. As we've done since the onset of COVID-19, we at Augustana are committed to following all public health guidance and utilizing those recommendations, whether it be from the Illinois Department of Public Health, the Illinois Board of Higher Education, the Rock Island Department of Public Health here in Rock Island County, the Center for Disease Control, the ACHA, the American College Health Association, and any other public health guidance that we can find, we really use to try to build our COVID response plan. And that will continue into fall of 2021 and beyond as long as necessary. Please know, families, that we've had a very successful year navigating COVID and coexisting with COVID. And it's been a testament to the students in particular at Augustana who have really done a great job complying with all of the mitigation efforts that we put in place. And a kudos to our faculty and staff who have also successfully coexisted with COVID. And our intent for next year is to return to the in-person, deeply engaged learning experience that our students have in the classroom. It's truly core to the identity of an Augustana education and the Augustana experience. So we have the intention currently, and plans are in place, to have all of our learning occurring face-to-face in the classroom. Our current plan assumes no hybrid or distance learning options beyond those required from an accommodations perspective, which we would have provided prior to COVID-19 as well. So we really believe wholeheartedly that we will be back in class, in person, face-to-face to start the fall semester, and our students and families should plan for that. In addition, we have the expectation that our calendar will run without changes for the 21-22 academic year. This spring, for example, we did not offer a spring break, which was very similar to many institutions across the country, certainly in the Midwest. Again, trying to navigate the pandemic and how to mitigate the likelihood of spread on campus. So we altered the academic calendar and did away with spring break this year. That is not the plan moving forward. And granted, all of these things could change. COVID is a fluid situation, but as of right now, we very much believe that our calendar is going to run without changes. You can see those dates on the calendar. And then certainly off-campus experiences, internships, study abroad programs. We definitely want to try to reinvigorate those and relaunch those as soon as possible. Some of that is already taking place, and we'll do that throughout the course of the summer into next fall, and share that information as soon as we possibly can about all of those questions that families and students might have about the co-curricular experience, such as study abroad and otherwise. Before I transition to our first presenter for the evening, the other thing that I'm sure families are interested in knowing more about, and from session 2 a couple of weeks ago, we had a lot of questions on this, so I wanted to cover it at the beginning of the program tonight, and that is Augustana's perspective on vaccinations. At this time, Augustana is very much encouraging our community members to be vaccinated. We do recognize, however, that this is currently under an emergency use authorization. And because of that emergency use, we are not requiring the vaccine at this time. That could very well change over the course of the next few weeks, the next few months, potentially into the next academic year. But we are currently and consistently monitoring all guidance related to the vaccine. And currently right now, it's a recommendation that our students become vaccinated, that all of our community members become vaccinated. But there is the potential that that recommendation could transition to a requirement, but that will be in accordance with public health guidance, with best practices, with what other campuses in our region are considering and taking action towards that vaccine. So right now it is a recommendation, potentially moving to a requirement. Our intent would be to have more information and more guidance on that recommendation versus requirement and what that might look like moving forward by sometime mid to late June. That would then allow our students, incoming and current students, to have, July and August to do what they need to do if we were to require the vaccine. But at this time, as of May 11th, our vaccine is a recommendation from Augustana College rather than a requirement. At this point, there are not a large number of campuses, specifically in Illinois, but also just nationally as well, that have required the vaccine. But we are monitoring that vaccine information closely, and we'll make a determination on what the fall looks like with the vaccine as soon as we have the necessary facts and information related to that. So just wanted to share that with folks as we go into the program tonight. But those are really our plans for the fall of 21 generally, and then much of the information you'll hear tonight is certainly about the fall of 21. So you will have the opportunity to hear from 8 different presenters over roughly the next hour, maybe hour and 10 minutes. You will hear from Lisa Fowler, our registrar, Dr. Douglas in academic affairs, Tia Furr in student activities and Greek life, Dr. Smith, our vice president for diversity, equity, and inclusion, Diane McCann in the business office, Matt Walsh in financial aid, Chris Byer in residential life, and then Amy Roars in dining services. So it should be a great informational session throughout the course of the next hour or so. And again, we'd encourage you to use that chat feature anytime questions pop up, and we'll get those answered for you. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Liesl.
Thanks, Wes. Can you hear me okay, I hope? My name is Liesl Fowler. I am our college registrar and assistant dean, and my contact information is for you there. The title of my little section is Helping Students Put the Pieces Together and Learning to Let Go. And I definitely include myself and the we involved in that. Because I am not only the parent of a current college student, but I do have a student in high school, and I also have a student who has graduated from a small private liberal arts college. So when I talk about the things that I'm going to cover tonight, definitely know that it comes from a place of compassion and empathy, and being able to definitely share with you in where we're coming from. So as Wes kind of shares some of the information on these next screens, one of the things we want to touch base with is sort of where our students are now and where they might be going. As we all know, when our students are in a high school setting, they have a lot of puzzle pieces that are rotating around them. And as you can see sort of in this slide, lots of folks are helping our students navigate high school as they learn and grow. These are family members, these might be counselors at the high school, coaches, teachers, band directors, other administrators, family support people in the community. And a lot of those interactions happen around the student, right? So the student is in the middle, but the activities and the communication sort of go around the student. As the student shifts to the college environment, we sort of think of it as a 3-legged stool that's supporting the student's experience. So certainly the student is one of those legs of the stool, but we also consider those college supports and the family members as the other important pieces. And we expect that all the communication will go through the student. And so just helping students understand that they need to be at the center of all communication, and that they're going to be an integral part to any approach that we take towards their learning. As we help your students think about the transition to college, some of those things that they will have questions about, and you may have questions about, are the academic expectations. A couple of references that we'd like to make you aware of are our academic catalog and our student handbook. Both of these resources can be found online, and we'll make sure that that information, links to those, make it into the chat as well. We want to make sure that students know that email is the official way that we're going to communicate with students. Many of them may already have their official Augustana communication and have set up their email accounts. What we expect students to do is to check their email account daily when school is in session. So that's at least once a day. When school is not in session, so over the summer or during breaks, we do expect them to check it 2 to 3 times per week. It's just critical that students use that as their primary way to communicate with us, using their official Augustana account. And that can begin immediately. So if students have questions about anything they learned tonight or things that they learn over the summer, we definitely would like them to use their Augustana email to communicate with us. One other thing that is maybe a little bit different from high school is attendance is expected. That includes from the first day of the semester through the entire exam week. Unlike high school, where students might be able to be excused for a day here or there for travel or other activities, the college expects that students are going to be attending, and most faculty members will factor that attendance into their course evaluation. Just a little bit about family travel and transportation. Faculty policy requires students to take their final exams as scheduled each term. Students are not permitted to reschedule exams for family vacations or transportation home. But the good news is that we have lots of nice breaks, and we will definitely put the calendar link in our chat. Many breaks during the semester and between semesters, between J term and spring. And then as Wes mentioned, we plan to have a spring break again this year. So there's lots of opportunities for you to plan some nice activities. So we just encourage you to bookmark that and reference the academic calendar as you make your family plans. A few questions that families often ask have to do with, one of them is FERPA. If you have a student that has already participated in an institution of higher education, you may be familiar with it. FERPA stands for the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. It is a federal law that helps protect our student records. So it's a really important law. That means that not anybody can just wander in to the college and ask about your student's educational records. When students are in high school, the authority for releasing those records and access to those records lies with the custodial person or parent. When students enroll in an institution of higher education, that transfers to the student. So you know that this might be an opportunity to have a conversation with your student about what are your expectations about communication? How are they going to keep you informed about things that are going on? Typically, we find that this is a transition that most students and families make very easily and smoothly. However, we do know that some students are a little bit more reluctant to share information with parents, and we don't want that to prohibit you from being a support. So if you find that your student is not engaging with you in the way that you might normally want, we encourage you to reach out to Wes or myself, and we will help get those lines of communication going. Another thing that parents ask, sorry, Wes, another thing that we hear from parents a lot is about enrollment verification. A lot of times this has to do with insurance plans, getting discounts on insurance. And as soon as students are enrolled for fall semester, they can request that using their Arches account. And the Arches account students will learn about as they approach orientation and registration. And then just a final reminder to make sure that you arrange to have all those official transcripts and scores sent to Augustana, whether that be AP scores, IB scores. If they had dual enrollment at community colleges, we do need to make sure that you request those and have them sent officially directly to us. Quickly about the fall schedule, as students register, they will note that they will have 13 or 14 credits on their schedule. That 12 semester credits is full-time. Those courses will include a first-year inquiry or honors course, which will be 4 credits, plus a 1-credit advising course. And that's a time for 1 hour every week, all semester, that they get dedicated time with their advisor. In addition, they're going to have a learnings perspective or a majors course, which will also be 4 credits. And then they'll have another course that would be either a second language or another course for general education. So the students will, for the most part, have 4 4-credit classes plus their advising course. If they're in a fall varsity sport or involved in music, they might have additional credits for those as well. We just want to remind everyone that every first-year student will enroll in a J-term course, and they will have opportunities to learn more about J-term as they approach the fall semester. Students in the fall taking anywhere between 13 and 14 credits with success will be invited to take up to 16 credits in the spring if they wish, for a maximum of 34 credits for the year. So just a couple reminders about supporting your student in their success. As they approach registration and finish that process, they will have an opportunity to do that in a system called Arches. And we want to encourage you to be part of that process. So ask them questions about their Arches registration. How did it go? Did they have questions or concerns? Ask them about their plans for J-term. What classes might they be interested in? and share your strategies for success. We've all made it to successfully to adulthood by having certain things in place. And I think things that you might have in place for time management or study habits, those things would be good for you to share with them this summer. I think modeling flexibility and problem solving will go a long way. I think students that approach registration or anything in college with an open mind have a greater chance of success. And then don't forget to point them back to us if concerns arise. We are well equipped, lots of people with years of experience to help students get to the finish line. So we want to make sure that they know that they've got a lot of support here. And then just a kind of a final reminder as they're thinking about their courses, don't drop those courses in Arches. If they have any questions at any time, please turn them back to us for questions about courses or their registration. We'd be happy to assist them with that. And as we move forward, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Kristen Douglas. Kristen is the Associate Dean for Student Success. Thank you all.
Thanks, Liesl. Well, I'm very excited that you all are joining us this evening. I thought that I would let you know, particularly our transfer students and families, that our coordinator of transfer advising, Kylie Stever, is watching the chat. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to pop those into the chat, and Kylie will do her best to answer those questions. I want to give you a little bit of a sneak peek for what will happen this summer before classes start in the fall. So you have likely already received an email from admissions that included your student ID number and a link to the orientation and registration webpage. So I would recommend going ahead and starting to memorize that student ID number. That's going to be your ID as long as you're at Augustana. And if you haven't already started to look at the checklist of steps on the orientation and registration website, I would invite you to do that and start making your way through those steps. So as you are going through those steps, we're collecting information from you about your placement into second language courses, about your interests in courses that you may register for, about your interests in different majors. So we're collecting information from you as you're completing those steps. And then when you're done completing those steps, you will receive an email. We can go to the next slide, Wes. You'll receive an email that says you can sign up for an advising appointment. These advising appointments are virtual this year, but this is an opportunity for you to meet one-on-one with one of our advisors. So transfer students, you'll be working with Kylie for most of the summer. We may have some faculty that step into some of those meetings. First year students, you might be meeting with a student or with a staff member from the Office of Advising, or you might be meeting with a faculty advisor. But either way, there will be a conversation about what kinds of courses should you be enrolled in the fall semester. I would note that there is a video that we would ask you to watch before you have that virtual advising appointment. That video will help to orient you to our curriculum. So that as we start to talk about some of the coursework that you'll be taking, you'll be able to understand why we're recommending those particular courses for you. After you have that virtual advising appointment, then you will receive another communication from the college that says you can sign up for a live registration event. So you will be students will be signing into Arches on this day, and you will actually enroll for your fall semester courses. We have 2 dates in June, 2 dates in July, and 2 dates in August that you can choose from. And you'll just log in and you'll look at what the available dates are, and you'll choose one that fits with your schedule. While you're working on that registration process, if you have any questions, you can hop onto a Zoom call, very much like this particular call, and we will answer any questions that you have. So you are not alone. We are there to support you through your registration process. Then one of the things that is I think really special about Augustana is the advising that students will get as part of their college experience. So we talk about the virtual advising sessions. Those sessions will likely not be with your student's first year advisor. Once students get to campus, they'll be assigned to a first year advisor. And that first year advisor is either a staff member or a faculty member who's there to really guide your student and help them transition from wherever they're coming from, maybe high school or another institution, to Augustana. So the advisor is playing the role of the person who's really helping the student understand, these are how the policies work at Augustana. These are the kinds of courses that you'll take. This is what the curriculum looks like. These are all of the opportunities that you have. So the student will be asking lots of questions. Where are we going? And the advisor will excitedly say, towards your future, follow me. So we'll expect the student and the advisor to build a strong relationship during that first year. And at some point in the middle of the first year, things start to transition a bit so that the student understands all of the opportunities that they have in front of them at Augustana, and they'll start to be the person who's in that driver's seat of our tandem bicycle. The advisor is there to provide support, to answer questions, and to perhaps tell students, watch out for those little obstacles that you might see ahead. But the student really is in control at that point. So students will remain with their first year advisor until they declare a major. Another person that will be a very, very important person to help support your student in their first weeks on campus is the first year mentor or the transfer mentor. These are current students who understand how Augustana works, and they are there to guide your student to answer any questions that your students don't feel comfortable asking an adult. And they are there to help your student feel comfortable on campus. So as I mentioned, your student will stay with their first year advisor or their transfer advisor until they declare a major. That could be in spring of the student's first year at Augustana, or if students aren't sure what they want to major in and they're not ready to declare a major, that's fine. They don't have to declare a major until they're ready. We will, however, ask students to declare a major by the time they have 60 credits. That's usually at the end of their second year. And our goal there is to make sure that students can graduate in 4 years. When a student does declare a major, they will then transition to a faculty member in their major as their major advisor. That person understands all of the details of that particular major and has the expertise to guide the student through the rest of that curriculum. So the student will stay with that major advisor until graduation. So that is just a little bit of an introduction to advising at Augustana. If you have questions about the registration process, about how to complete the steps to prepare for registration, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can either email us at orientation@augustana.edu, or you can call our orientation helpline. And you see the phone number there. And I would like to pass the torch to Tia Four, who is our Assistant Director of Student Life and Coordinator of Greek Life.
Thank you, Kristen. Hello, Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. My name is Tia Four, and I work as the Assistant Director of Student Life and as the Coordinator of Greek Life at Augustana. So I received my undergraduate degree from a liberal arts college similar to Augustana, and although I was very nervous to start college, I felt welcome to campus from the second I arrived, similar to how I believe your student will be treated once they arrive to Augustana. Liberal arts institutions are special in that they are student-focused and truly allow you to feel a part of the community. Our staff, administration, and faculty are all here to give support and help you succeed. And I truly believe your student will feel that sense of community when they arrive on campus. Attending a small liberal arts institution also gave me the ability to be involved with multiple groups and activities on campus. I played golf for 2 years, was involved with Greek Life, a spirit committee, and held a campus job, just to name a few things. Your students will have similar opportunities during their time at Augustana. The mission of my department, the Office of Student Life, or the OSL as we call it, is to create an engaging experience for students outside of the classroom. We are learning centered and maximize the time students spend on co-curricular and extracurricular activities so that they are career ready after college. The Office of Student Life has more than 100 student leaders that plan and implement more than 300 programs per year. We offer approximately 10 programs per week, so there's always something for your student to do on campus. In our office, students are the leaders, not the staff, not the professional staff. Students are in the best position to know the needs and the interests of other students on campus. So in the end, our student leaders grow their leadership skills, their communication skills, marketing. They build interpersonal relationships, problem-solving skills, and event planning skills while working and having fun in our office. So tonight, I really want to encourage you to help your student get involved in all of the opportunities available to them outside of the classroom at Augustana. College students are among some of the most researched groups, and we know very well that students who are engaged in meaningful ways outside of the classroom do better in class and are much more likely to graduate. Now, you may worry that too much involvement could negatively impact them and their academics during their time in school, but it is actually very rare that that happens. We have first-class faculty advisors on campus and mentors that will help them navigate their experiences beyond the classroom. So your student might ask you how they should get involved, and they might ask why they should get involved. So the easiest sell for why your students should get involved on campus is because it's just fun. It'll help them when they first get to campus, meet other students on campus, and just start getting used to the campus atmosphere. It also helps build their resume. It's a wonderful way to meet, I already said that it's a great way to meet other students and other faculty and staff on campus. And it allows them to pursue their interests and build new interests. We have a lot of ways for them to get involved on campus as well. So a few easy ways for them to get involved is to join clubs and organizations on campus. At Augustana, we have a lot of student organizations, but we also always invite students to start their own if we don't have something, a group on campus that they are interested in. They can also attend campus events. As I mentioned earlier, the OSL alone puts on around 300 programs a year. That's not even counting the programs that the Office of Student Inclusion and Diversity holds, or all of our other departments around campus. So there's a lot of opportunities for involvement through events and programs. They can also participate in club sports and intramurals on campus. They can also join the club connected to their academic major, which would also allow them to build deeper connections with the faculty in their major. They can also get jobs on campus. We have a lot of opportunities for campus work. They can engage in community service and volunteering, and they can also, hopefully next year again, study abroad and participate in experiential learning opportunities. Finally, I would like to share a bit about 3 upcoming events that we will have this fall: Welcome Week, Emerge Leadership Program, and our Family weekend. So Welcome Week will start Thursday, August 26th from the time your student arrives on campus and go through Sunday, August 29th. And after I'm done speaking, I will put a video of Welcome Week in the comment section for you to watch on your own time, but just so you can kind of see how fun that week really is. That week is for your student to really get an introduction to the people, places, and the community values of Augustana. And by Sunday, it's our goal that your student will feel totally prepared to start classes on Monday. Next, I would like to talk about the Emerge Leadership Program, which also will start in the fall term. And this is a cohort-based program, leadership series for students that aspire to hold leadership roles on campus. It's a great place for them to meet other new students on campus beyond their classrooms and residence halls and sports teams. And the third event coming up would be Family Weekend. And this year, Family Weekend will be held on Friday, September 17th through Sunday, September 19th. And Family Weekend is just a really good time for you to come back to campus and check in with your student, see how they're doing, and keep encouraging them to get involved on campus and meet new people and keep doing the good job that they're doing. You can also choose from multiple events and programs during Family Weekend that best suit your interests. So that is a little bit about the Office of Student Life. Please feel free to ask more questions in the chat. Now I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Monica Smith, the Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you, Tia. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's good to see you all. I want to talk a little bit about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the context of student success outside the classroom. And in preparation for graduation, I want to be able to explain to you why DEI is important at Augustana, and how we help your student to get acclimated on campus too. And so when we think about diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's important to recognize that the college campus is a microcosm of society. Students come from different backgrounds. They're used to different things. They're used to being around different people. And we all have multiple identities and various interests. And it's essential that every student integrates well into the community at Augustana. Students will interact with people who are different from them, some for the first time. And we want to be able to assist in the development of self-awareness and facilitate their learning of cross-cultural engagement skills. At Augustana, we recognize and affirm the whole person, and we embrace and engage our diversity. So when we talk about diversity, think about it as a range of identities, those that we are born with and those that we grow into. At Augustana, we pay particular attention to the intersections of identities, and you see them listed here on the screen. They each individually and collectively give meaning to how we see ourselves, others, and how we approach the world. And so again, we want to be able to acknowledge and affirm these and other identities, as well as embrace and learn about our differences. Second thing I want to talk about is equity. Equity is important to consider, and we think that it is necessary for success. The focus on equity ensures that students have similar access to resources and opportunities. And you can see from the slide that equity is really about fairness rather than approaching every situation in the same way. On the first photo there where you see equality, you know, if we approach every situation in the same way, then we have further advantaged some and not advantaged others, or not solved the particular problem. And so we think about equity, and that's giving students what they need, access to what they need and the resources they need to be successful. And then the third term I'll talk about is inclusion. When we think about diversity, and we work toward equity or equitable practices, we have to think about how we're being inclusive. How are we making sure that we are helping students to be able to increase their awareness, engage with diversity, think about content knowledge, and so on and so forth. We want to be able to help our students to gain an empathic understanding, not only of themselves, but others. And we approach inclusion in two ways: through learning opportunities within the curriculum or in the classroom, as well as outside the classroom with co-curricular programs. And so a few examples of this are: within the curriculum, every student takes a diversity and a global awareness course. These are core or major courses that focus on identities and cultures. And some of the disciplines that carry either a diversity or global awareness course are sociology and anthropology, religion, music, psychology, political science, history, and some language courses. Now, that's not an exhaustive list, but it gives you an idea of the breadth of courses and opportunities that students will engage in to learn about different cultures. And some of these courses are also in the students' majors, so they're double dipping in meeting this particular core requirement. The other way that we approach inclusion is through the co-curricular, those learning opportunities that are outside of the classroom. Every student, when they arrive at Augustana, sometime during the first semester, hopefully very early on, they will participate in the diversity, equity, and inclusion training. It's an online training. It'll take them about 45 to 60 minutes, and the students complete that in their first year. You see some of the topics that are listed there: identity and selfhood, respect, power and privilege, allyship, bias, and self-care. Some of our students will participate in our PACE program. PACE stands for Preparation, Awareness, Community, and Engagement. It starts out as a summer program where students can arrive early before the semester starts, and they will come in a cohort. And you see the dates there, August 22nd to the 25th. This is a year-long program that's designed to equip students for early success. The PACE mentorship program, as I said, takes place a few days before Welcome Week, and it's really intended to prepare incoming first-year students for college life by providing resourceful workshops, presentations, and team building activities among students before the start of the academic year. Students who have attended PACE have found it instrumental in their successful transition from high school to college and in their integration into the Augustana community. And last year, as well as this year, PACE participants will have the option of participating together in a first-year inquiry course, Introduction to Liberal Arts. There will be 2 sections, so if your student is interested, they will be asked to register for that particular section of the FYI class. FYI is required for all incoming students, and so PACE participants can select to participate in this course together. Lastly, just want to share that diversity and inclusion is a journey. It requires our students to develop skills, to view themselves and others through lenses that are new to them. The more students engage with diversity in the classroom and other areas of campus, the more opportunities to increase awareness, knowledge, and skills. And you can see the list of skills that are developed through cross-cultural engagement. And as you recognize the skills that are listed there, we also recognize that these are skills that employers are looking for. So we used to call them soft skills, but actually they're people skills. And as the world becomes more diverse and the global community becomes smaller, it's really important for our students to have the opportunity to build these skills. They're foundational for employment, and they're foundational for leadership. And so really glad to offer your student all of these opportunities to explore themselves, to increase their own self-awareness, and also to get to know others who are similar to or different from them. So thank you again for being here. If you have questions, please drop them in the chat. And with that, I will turn things over to my colleague, Diane McCann, the Student Accounts Director.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. I'm Diane McCann, and I work in the business office, supervise the student accounts area, and I've been at the college over 21 years. One of our main goals in student accounts is to provide excellent customer service to your students and their families, not only as you start at Augustana, but until your students graduate. My colleagues, Rhonda Vogel and Beth Melton, were the ones that answer the phone, answer emails, and sometime you might wonder if you have a question, well, I'm not sure if that relates to student accounts. Just give us a call or shoot us an email. If we don't know the answer, we will find out and get back to you or direct you in to the right person. So please reach out. We are here to help. A couple things I want to mention. One important document is our schedule of student charges. That can be found on our website, just augustana.edu, and search for it. It lists all of our charges for the 21-22 year, including what your full-time tuition covers, meal plans, housing, in music lessons, anything that when you receive the bill, any question basically can be answered by the schedule. It is an important document to reference and have. So I highly encourage you to look at that document on our website. We are on semesters, as you know, and we bill twice a year. Fall term and J term are billed together, and we bill that in July. We'll be billing that the last week of July, and you can expect to receive an e-bill the first week in August. Typically, we bill about 4 weeks before the payment is due. Spring term, we will bill in January, and that will be due in February. I want to repeat again what Liesl mentioned earlier about the email being our main source of communication. Please encourage your students to check their email, and if our office sends something to them, it is an important thing. And I know they're going to get a lot of emails, but just make sure they're checking them, because sometimes it gets a little overwhelming for them, but that's how we do send our communication to them. When the billing statements are available, students will be able to access their statement through their Arches account, which is where they register, where they see their grades. It's their main hub, and their e-bills are available there too. Parents and guardians will receive e-bills after your student has authorized you as a payer. Now you're probably thinking, well, I pay the bill, why do they have to authorize me? And that all relates to FERPA and the Privacy Act. So many of you maybe have already been authorized, because that is a step of adding a payer in the billing, in the registration and orientation duties that Kristen mentioned earlier. If you're not sure if you're an authorized payer, please give us a call and we can check that out in our office. So I'll talk a little bit about our payment options. Payment is due the first day of the semester, and the due dates are listed here. Fall semester starts August 30th, and spring semester starts February 2nd. So payment is due then. We do not offer a payment plan in-house, but we do offer that through Transact Payments. That is the company we work with. It was formerly CashNet, but now they're called Transact Payments. And you can set up a payment plan for the whole year. And you can set it up to have your payments either the 1st of the month or the 15th of the month. And the plans available start at 11 months with the first payment in June and last payment in April. And we go down to an 8-month payment plan. There is a $60 annual enrollment fee to sign up for the payment plan. And about 10% of our families choose this option. Your students and your authorized payers will be receiving an email notification at the end of May with information on setting up a payment plan. If that's something you think you might want to do, our office is happy to do a worksheet for you based on your financial aid package and the cost for the year. So just reach out to us either through email or give us a call, and we'll be happy to do that for you. So how to pay the bill? Well, you can pay online through Transact Payments, our payment gateway. Students will have the ability to do that, and then also the authorized payers. If you pay with an electronic check or ACH, there's no fees associated with that. That would just be entering your bank routing number and your checking account number. You do have the option to pay with a credit or a debit card, but there's a 2.75% convenience fee associated with that. Some families want to mail the payment in. That's perfectly fine. When you receive the e-bill, our mailing address is on there. We just ask that you reference your student's name and ID number on the payment. And we're located in Sorensen Hall, and our office is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. The final item I'd like to mention tonight is our student accident and health insurance. This is an optional insurance, but if families do not want it, you need to opt out of it by September 6th. And the cost for the year is $2,769. The plan runs from August 1st of this year until July 31st of 2022. If you want the insurance, there's nothing you need to do. All families are billed for the insurance. And then if you do not want it and waive it, then you will see a credit on the billing statement. Information will be coming out from Jacob Bobbitt, our controller, in June with information on the plan and also information on waiving the insurance if you do not want it. So please be looking for that information and also about our payment plan if that's something you might want to do. So at this time, I'd like to pass it off to my colleague, Matt Walsh, in the Financial Aid Office.
Thanks, Diane. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for participating tonight and being a part of this. It's very exciting. I'm an Augustana graduate, and it's great every year to see a new group of families joining the Augustana community. Last year at this time, I was doing this presentation for my family. My daughter's a first-year student here at Augustana and has had a great first year. It's just exciting time of the year as people get ready to move off to college. So welcome, and we're glad that you're a part of our family. Tonight, I'm going to talk in real brief terms about just a couple of financial aid matters that I think a lot of people ask about. It comes with an invitation. We certainly invite families to reach out to our office. There'll be some information, contact information at the end of my slide stack here. But ultimately, we know that a lot of times families have some detailed questions. And so we're keeping things a little bit more general this evening, but feel free to reach out to us by email, by phone, or if you're on campus, let us know. And if we can make arrangements to visit with you, we'd love to do that as well. One of the things that a lot of families inquire about are the financial aid award renewal topics, the different resources that the students are receiving. Academic scholarships, when your student, if they received an academic award, probably received a letter with information about the renewal criteria. It's usually based on a GPA. That is something that gets evaluated at the end of each year. So we don't do this semester by semester, but rather we're doing it at the end of a year. So it gives students a little bit of leeway there in case they have a term that they, or semester that they don't necessarily meet that threshold. They certainly have another semester to meet that. Your talent and competition scholarships, if your students were the recipients of any of those, that's based on departmental criteria as determined by the department. We take our cues from those departments. Typically, if a student is meeting those criteria, they're going to have renewed scholarships every year. Grant aid is going to be based on your FAFSA. So every year, if your financial circumstances are comparable, it's a pretty good chance your grant aid is going to be very similar. We do invite families to file the FAFSA every year beginning October 1. It's not much more than you guys moving your students in, and we're going to be reaching out to you about completing your FAFSA for their sophomore year. But it's important that we have that information that allows us to be able to prepare the financial aid awards for students for the upcoming school year. Many times, students, and hopefully your students are in this category, they're receiving some outside scholarships through their school, through their community, maybe through your employers. We certainly encourage students to apply for those, and we applaud their efforts to get those scholarships. We do consider it a resource as far as the educational expenses are concerned. So with that in mind, we invite students and or families to reach out to our office if you are the recipient of a scholarship. We don't necessarily need an official copy of the information, but maybe a copy of the letter, an email, a certificate, something that lets us know that you have received that award. We want that for a couple of reasons. One, we want to know that when the funds ultimately arrive to support that scholarship, we know who those scholarship funds are to go to. We do want to update the award letter and make sure that when you get your billing statement come July, that's going to be reflected there. Generally speaking, those outside scholarships are just going to be added on to what you're already receiving. There might be some impact on the work study or the direct subsidized loan for students, depending on their eligibility. But generally speaking, none of the scholarships that students or the grant aid that a student has received is going to be impacted by these scholarships. The next thing that a lot of families inquire about is federal verification if they were selected by the federal government, Department of Education for verification. We have been starting to communicate with families right now about that. It's something that we have to get completed before we can apply the financial aid in the fall. So if you have questions about verification documentation you're receiving, or if you have questions simply whether or not you're selected for verification, please feel free to reach out to our office, and we will kind of walk you through that process. It can be a little bit intimidating as you get the paperwork, but we're good to work with you on that to get that all taken care of. One other topic I want to talk about, and I kind of circle back to something that Liesl Fowler mentioned earlier, is about sort of policy and procedure. We are required by the Department of Education to review students on quantitative and qualitative measures as to whether or not they're meeting progress to get their degree. We bring this up because we want students and families to be aware of the fact that every semester we're simply evaluating the students to make sure that they're meeting our minimum requirements to complete their degree at Augustana. It's very rare that students would fall into this category where they are not meeting satisfactory academic progress, but we think it's worth noting that honestly, being in class, going to class, and getting good grades, it does have a direct impact on the student's financial aid award. So again, most students don't necessarily fall into this situation, but we do want to make students aware of it, parents aware of it, family aware of it. And you can see that right there, we have our link to our website that talks about that policy. So a couple quick things about, and as you're getting your billing information in July for the upcoming school year, we want to know, make sure that families are doing the paperwork and taking care of the things that they need taken care of. I think recently, and I apologize for saying I think, but I think one of my colleagues has recently sent out a letter and email to your students specifically around the direct loan. So if your student plans on taking some or all of their direct loan, there are a couple documents that they need to complete. The two documents are entrance counseling and the loan agreement, or the master promissory note, MPN. Those documents can be completed at studentaid.gov. Typically, that process takes about an hour. It's a fairly easy process to complete. But if you get your billing statement in July and you find that the balance might be a little bit more than you anticipated, many times families might have done one of these, the student might have done one of these documents and maybe not the second. So we want to make sure that you do complete those. And again, if you have questions as to whether or not those have been completed, you can simply reach out to our office and we're happy to look into that for you. Sometimes, in addition to the student loans, a parent may choose to borrow to help offset some of the cost on the balance. I know that this for a fact, we did send out information to parents here recently about the Parent Plus loan process. It is all done online at the exact same site that I just referenced for your student for the master promissory note and entrance counseling. But here's some general information about the how to access the PLUS loan, the interest rate for this year, which will be reset on July 1. And then the fact that there's 2 options for repayment. So if a parent wants to use the loan, they can begin their repayment in the spring of their student's first year, the year that they're using the loan, or they can choose to defer it, much like the student loans can be deferred. A parent can choose that same option, provided that your student is still in school, at least have time to be able to qualify. Also, the private student loan option. Again, we encourage families to utilize this if they choose to do so. We have a lot of information on our website about this. Generally speaking, I guess the one note I would make on a private student loan for our students is that the majority of our students do need a credit-worthy co-signer if they use this option. We don't have too many students that can secure a loan without one, but if there's some questions about this type of a loan option, we certainly invite any questions that you might have. Here's our contact information. Again, I know that what I covered was very general in nature, but again, I think some of the specific things around financial aid are sometimes best served in conversation amongst directly with our staff to the family. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions about this. We invite that information, and we look forward to working with your family, your students through the next 4 years. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn this over to my colleague in residential life, Chris Byer. He's our director of residential life.
Thanks, Matt. Hi, everybody. My name's Chris Byer. I'm the director of residential life. And let me just start with live it, love it, take it with you. That's kind of our motto in residential life. Our goal is not only for students to have a great experience living on campus and becoming deeply invested in their community, discovering more interesting things about the people around them and getting to know themselves better, but also in a really meaningful and specific way, feeling equipped for life after college. And that's what our housing program is designed to do. So joining me tonight is Michelle Mason, who's the Assistant Director of Residential Life. She is available on the live chat to answer questions and share information. So as I'm speaking, feel free to engage Michelle there. And you've got our contact information on the screen if you'd like to reach out to us afterwards. I do want to give you a little bit of an overview of what the living situation will look like for students at Augustana over the course of 4 years. I'm going to spend a little bit more time focused on year 1 because that's what's most immediate for all of you. We're going to talk about next steps, meaning things that you can be thinking about and doing this summer to prepare to relocate and move to Rock Island and live on our campus. I'm going to share some insights about living on campus and some special opportunities for first-year students in housing. And then we'll end by talking a little bit about move-in day, so you know what to expect when you arrive on campus for move-in day. Okay, so we have a transitional housing model, meaning our students live according to class cohort. They will stay with their class, and it's a 3-year sequence. So in year 1, first-year students are going to live together in one of our traditional first-year residence halls. In year 2, they will move into second-year residence halls. The first-year buildings are all randomly assigned. We really try hard to mix people up. We don't like clustering in ways that are specific to academic programs or athletic participation, because we find it a small liberal arts college like Augustana, it's important to have friends from all walks of life to get connected with a diverse range of students. So we're going to kind of mix students up in housing for their first year. In their second year, they can select housing. They've got some more options. And then in our third year, and this is what I think is pretty cool, students move into our transitional living area, or TLA, we call it. The TLAs are houses and apartments that are college owned, so they're on-campus housing, but they feel very much like living off campus. They will have living rooms and dining rooms and kitchens and bathrooms, just like a house or an apartment would. These spaces range in size from one-person studio apartments up to, we've got a couple big houses that fit 8 people in them, and everything in between. So they'll they'll feel like they're living off campus in their third year, even though they are still very much on campus. And then in year 4, we expect our students to actually move off campus. And by the time they get there, they are ready for it. Most of our students, just by culture at Augustana, move into the neighborhood right next to campus. We've got a lot of landlords that have been renting to Augie students for many years, and they're used to working with us. So even in senior year, they feel like they're part of the Augie bubble. But what's really nice about that is they get that experience of renting from a landlord and paying utilities, signing a lease, because at some point they're going to graduate, they're going to get a job, and they're going to move off to a new city and start doing really well for themselves, and they're going to have to find a place to live. So they will have done that once here on campus before they graduate. And I feel really good that that helps prepare them to be successful beyond college. Okay, but let's spend a little bit more time talking about year 1. So like I said, they're going to be randomly assigned to one of our first year residence halls, which are Westerland Seminary and Antrim. We've got lots of good information about each of these buildings on our website. You'll be able to find floor plans of every specific room, which that's like the most popular question we get over the summer. You know, how big is this? How high is that? How wide is the bed? How big is the space under the bed? Everyone's trying to figure out if all of their furnishings and storage boxes will fit, if that futon will fit. So we've got some really good information. If you go to the website after you get the housing assignment, you can take a close look at your specific room and figure out if everything's going to fit. The security features in the building, all of the buildings are locked. We consider the area very safe, but the buildings are locked and only accessible by students. So to enter the residence halls, they'll use their student ID as a proximity card to unlock the front door. And any student can get through the front door, and that will get them into the communal part of the building. But then there's a second security door into the residential part of the building, and only those students that live in that area can swipe into that wing of the building. And then the room itself is also locked with a key. And we encourage them to keep that room locked just for good safety habits. So we've got 3 levels of locked doors between every student and the outdoors. There is laundry in every building. We are using a card system. So when they come to campus, they'll purchase a laundry card, which will have credit on it. It's $1.25 to wash, $1.25 to dry. They can reload the credit on that card at kiosks around campus or by purchasing laundry codes online. That way you don't have to send them to Augie with a pocket full of quarters to do their laundry. They just swipe their card. The furnishings in the room are kind of what you see depicted in the drawings here. And again, you can find pictures and measurements of all of these things on the website. But every student will have a desk, a bed, a desk chair, a dresser, and closet space. And then I also like to mention we do have 24/7 on-call staff. So we have student staff who live in the buildings on the floors and will get to know your students really well. They're always around, the community advisors, and we always have at least one on call in every building every night. We also have professional staff who live in every building and participate in our on-call rotation as well. So whatever might happen, day or night, weekends, weekdays, we are around and available to students. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about next steps. At this point, the housing application is live. We've seen many people submit housing applications already. We will continue to accept housing applications until the end of June. In fact, we'll accept them beyond June, but anything that comes in after June 30th, basically, they'll get housing assignments just after we've placed everybody who applied by the deadline. So we do encourage you to get the housing application and all of your housing materials in by the end of June. There is a housing deposit. It's a refundable $150 damage deposit. So if after living on campus for 3 years, the student hasn't caused any damage or left any huge messes when they depart at the end of the school year, that money all gets refunded. But if there's things that are broken that need to be repaired or messes that need to be cleaned, those expenses will be debited from the housing deposit, and then the balance will be refunded. Some students require medical accommodations in their housing. Some examples of medical accommodations might be a room with a private bathroom, might be a single room. The most common accommodation is air conditioning. Most of our spaces do have central air, but not all of them. So for a student who requires air conditioning for medical reasons, it's important that they submit that request as a medical accommodation with a doctor's note explaining what the need is. Sometimes we'll have students who have a medical need for like a strobe light attached to the fire alarm, if it's a hearing impaired student. So whatever it might be, let us know, and we will make sure that they get a housing assignment that meets their medical needs. And then the big issue, of course, is the roommate. How do they get a roommate? There's a couple ways to go about it. Students can select their own roommate. So if the student has a friend and they know that they want to live with, the housing application will allow them to create a roommate group where they can search for that student in the system, so long as the other student has already submitted their housing application. Both have to apply for housing first. That'll get them in the system. They'll then be searchable, and within the system, they can request the roommate and the other person then confirms. So as long as the request is sent and confirmed, those two students are paired together. We do have a fair number of triple occupancy rooms for first year students as well. So if there's a group of 3 that would like to share a larger room, they can do that. Most students don't. And nobody believes me when I say this, because I see a lot of anxiety over students fearing that they haven't found their roommate yet. There really is no need to find a roommate. When they submit that housing application, we're going to ask them questions about their habits and their lifestyle, things like their cleanliness, the hours they like to keep, how social or maybe introverted they are, how they feel about having guests. And we can use that to do a really good job of helping them find a compatible roommate. So if they go in there, submit that housing application and don't create a roommate group, that's great. I mean, take that risk, have fun with that adventure. We'll help them find a friend. And I would say, even if they have a good friend from high school that's coming to Augustana with them, I would encourage them to consider not living together, because they can still be friends, you know, if they don't share a room. But if each of them also have a roommate, well, all of a sudden their group of 2 became a group of 4. So it helps them really kind of build their network pretty quickly by living with somebody new. Now, what we do with all that, like I said, get everything into us by the end of June, the housing application. If there's a roommate, select the roommate. If there's medical needs, let us know. We spend the first couple weeks in July getting everybody matched and assigned. And by mid-July, we will send out housing assignments. So students will get their building, their room number, and their roommate contact information. And at that point, they can start corresponding with each other to make plans about who's bringing what. Okay, that's the hard part. After that, there's a couple other things to think about. One thing to consider is whether or not the student wants the bed lofted. When you look at the floor plan and the room diagram, you'll see that some of the rooms, if they're a little bit smaller, we just keep the beds lofted as sort of a standard setting. But for other rooms, the standard setting of the bed is about 3 feet off the ground, which is high enough to keep the dresser underneath it, but not high enough to keep the desk underneath it. The picture that you're looking at shows a room with 2 lofted beds where the desk will fit under the beds. So if the standard setting is not a loft and the student would like to order a loft, they can. We use a partner company called bedloft.com. So if the student logs into that website, there is a fee because they will send folks to campus before move-in day to get all of the lofts built. But they can just submit those orders through bedloft.com. Wait until mid-July when the housing assignments come out, so then you can kind of know what your room is and if you want a loft or not. But you have to get that loft order in by August 2nd. Bedloft.com also rents micro fridges, which I think are fantastic. So I would definitely recommend considering renting a micro fridge rather than buying one. They're very popular appliances, but they're also the sort of appliance you really don't use when you're not living in a residence hall anymore. And if you get the rental, then it's delivered in taken out at the end of the year. It's going to be serviced if there's ever a breakdown. It's just one less large piece of a thing that you have to haul in on move-in day and transport to and from campus. So I think people who have gotten those rentals have been pretty satisfied with them. Okay, we do also have an important dates calendar published on the website, and you'll find it linked to the academic calendar. There are some break periods when the halls are closed. I put the asterisks on there because we're really never closed. There are always students who have exceptions and are allowed to remain even when we're closed. For instance, international students. Sometimes hall closures also correspond with times when athletes are still in season and competing. So for those who have a reason like that they need to remain on campus, they can. There are other breaks where the halls are open, but there is no meal service. The dining halls are closed. These are usually times when the majority of students are gone, so they're not included during the meal plan time. So important to be aware of if these are break periods when you think you might be staying on campus, to think about your plan for feeding yourself during that time. All right. Okay, so let me share a few unique and special programs that you might consider applying for in campus housing. The first, and I think this is just a fantastic program, is called the Residential Learning Experience. You heard a couple previous speakers make reference to our FYI courses. These are classes all first-year students take. The Residential Learning Experience is kind of a neat opportunity where students can opt into a situation where they will live on a floor together with other students who are in their FYI class. So these classes are pretty small. They're capped at 13, but the RLE group, not only do they take their FYIs together, they live together. So they're going to get to know each other really well. And then not only that, but those 3 FYI sections have a theme. They each have a theme. So these are really meant to kind of create community among people with a shared interest. Those themes are sports, community arts, and sustainability. So if those are areas of specific interest for your student or for you, for students listening to this, the RLE might be a cool program for you to sign up for. You do have to sign up special for it. Space is limited because each of those 3 sections is capped at 13 people. At this point, we're about a third of the way full on the RLE. So there is still space available, but I think in the next few weeks, we're going to see it start to fill up. And we've got a fun little video on our website, just interviewing some students who have participated in the RLE, describing their experience. But it is a really great way to kind of quickly build connections with people. And also to kind of get connected with faculty members, with professors who share in your interests as well. So definitely something I would say is worth a closer look for those who might be interested. The other special first-year housing option is not space limited. This program will expand or contract based on the number of people who want this. It's what we call our healthy living community. And I'll say right now, all of our residence halls are drug and alcohol free. Students should not be bringing drugs and alcohol into the residence halls. The distinction for the healthy living community is these are students who are specifically choosing to live in community with others who are committed to being drug and alcohol free. Okay, there's any number of reasons why people might desire such an arrangement. I'm always surprised by the large number of people who select healthy living. If we ever got to the point where all of our first-year students were selecting it, all of our first-year residence halls would be healthy living. But we'll basically designate floors in every building to accommodate healthy living as students request it. So the healthy living option is simply a checkbox on the housing application for those who want to be living on a floor with others who are committed to a drug and alcohol-free lifestyle. Okay, so that's some of our special options. Let's talk a little bit about move-in day. Our primary move-in day is going to be August 26th. That's the day most students will arrive on campus. Now, there's some exceptions. There are going to be some early arrival groups, and some of your students might fall into one of these early arrival groups. Excuse me. International students are invited to campus early. Most of our fall sport athletes will be coming a few days early. Each team has a different arrival date. So if your student is competing in a fall sport, their coach should be in touch with them about their arrival dates. And the PACE program also arrives early. The PACE program is going to move in the Sunday prior. So they get a few days together on campus. Now, if your student isn't a fall athlete, they're not coming from another country, and they're not in the PACE program, they're most likely going to be moving in on Thursday, August 26th in the morning. We'll be in touch with you with move-in instructions when we get closer, but everybody will basically have a designated time to arrive on campus. This helps us stagger arrivals so we never have a traffic jam, either in our driveways or in our stairwells, because we really do try to orchestrate this so that everybody can pull right up, unload, and get in really quickly. As you can kind of see in the picture, we always get a large group of student volunteers that show up to help on move-in day. And really what's going to happen is if you're showing up on the 26th, they're going to just kind of flock to your vehicle, take all of your things and move them to the room. And really by the time you park and get there, most of the time parents aren't carrying anything. That's my goal, is to make it as stress-free and sweat-free for parents on move-in day. Now, I do have to say, if you're part of an early arrival group, we don't have all of our volunteers here at that point. So early arrival students should plan to move in with very minimal help, in many cases without any help. But because early arrivals usually are relatively small numbers, it's still very easy to pull right up to the front door and unload pretty quickly. So that's move-in day. A lot more to come about that as we get closer. And then just to end, you've got my email address and phone number, and then also our office email. So as you think of more questions, I did see a few popping up in the chat, and I think Michelle's been answering those. But if you think of something else, please do reach out. We want to make sure everybody feels fully informed about living on campus before they show up. So thank you so much, everybody. And I am now going to pass the baton over to Amy to talk to you about dining on campus.
Thanks a bunch, Chris. Good evening. I'm here to talk to you about dining services. My name is Amy Roars, and I'm your accounts coordinator for dining services. I'm going to be the one you give a call to if you have questions about your child's meal plan, where they're eating, or to make sure that they are eating. If you want to, you can send me an email or send me a call. We're going to talk about three things: meal plans, allergies and dietary needs, and where on the world are you going to eat on campus? Meal plans. What is a meal plan? A meal plan is a combination of meal swipes and Viking bucks that grant your student access to dining services. Meal plans are loaded onto the student's ID. Students living on campus, their first and sophomore year, are required to have an on-campus meal plan. Commuters, juniors and seniors, and students that are not on campus, they usually don't. Or they are given the off-campus meal plans. First year and sophomore students will have the any 15 meal plan assigned automatically in the housing director. You're going to go in there and answer your surveys, check on their dining plans, see what they want. If you want to make changes, you can call here at the dining office, or you can go into the housing director and do it right there. Changes usually are made within the first 2 weeks of the term. There's a deadline of September 20th. We do ask that you kind of look at their meal plan and see how it's going to work for them. Students the first week get into a pattern, and some of them will be eating down campus more. Some of them will be eating at the brew. Maybe you have a student that isn't a big breakfast person. They will need to have more Viking bucks. Descriptions of all the meal plans are available on the Augustana website under residential life and dining. Like I said, take a look at them, see what works best for your student the first week of school. It really helps if they get into their schedule, see how busy they're going to be, see how that's going to work for them before they make a change. Special diets. We work very hard here to make sure that everything is available and safe for your student to eat. We have a very wide selection of gluten-free meals available in the dining hall and in our retail areas. If your student goes into the snack bar, you should be able to find a gluten-free item, at least one, or a vegetarian, vegan, or halal item. We do that to make sure that your student gets fed. We want to make sure that your student's stomach is full and their focus is on what they're needing to learn, not on where they're going to be eating. Vegetarian offerings contain no meat, fish, or poultry. These meat items are lacto-ovo vegetarians and may contain eggs or dairy products. Vegan items, all of them are very, very carefully marked. We don't want to have somebody accidentally grab a egg roll and be surprised if it has pork in it. We strive to make sure that that's marked both on our menu board and on the signage on all of our items. We also prepare halal meat. We have at least one option that is halal on our menu in the dining hall every day. Okay. Allergies. This is a big one. If you have a student that has allergies or a food issue, we mark those religiously. Nuts, we don't mark for dairy. We just do shellfish, tree nuts, peanuts, and gluten. If your student has a severe allergy, we ask that you contact one of our dining managers, Julie Orscheid Stone, here in the dining office. She will meet with your student, teach them how to navigate our dining system. And then if need be, we will sit down and set up a special dietary plan for them specifically. Once again, we want to make sure that your student is comfortable coming into the dining hall and eating. They can't study if they're hungry. Where to eat on campus? Well, we have the Gerber Dining Hall, which I hope most of you got a chance to experience. If not, hopefully the coming year you'll be able to. It's an all-you-can-eat, continuous serve facility, which means that if they come in here at 2 o'clock, there will be an area available. There will be areas available for them to eat. They come in at 8. There will be a place for them to grab something to eat. Now, are all areas open? No. It's a rotating schedule of what will be open at certain times during the evening and during the day. This gives us a chance to switch out meals from breakfast to lunch or lunch to dinner. It gives our staff an opportunity to put something new out there too. We also have carryout in our sustainable boxes here in the dining hall. So a student will take their to-go box. Each student, their first year, is going to be issued a to-go box and a to-go cup. They will bring those to-go boxes in here. We give them a clean one at the counter at the register. They walk around, they fill it up. They have to be able to close it, which you'd be surprised. They take that meal to go. When they are ready to come back and get another meal, they bring that box back. Then they can either get another box and it will be filled up for another meal swipe, or they can get one of these little exchange cards that we have that they can carry in behind their ID if they don't want to take the box and carry around a dirty box. This gives the chance, the students are busy, and we try to do everything we can to make it easy for them to grab something and take it with them. Otherwise, there are grab and go meals in our retail areas. For example, Gus's Snack Bar. It's your stop on lower campus. It's going to have your sandwiches, your salads, hamburgers, really, really good hamburgers, and also our walking tacos on Wednesday. If you're not down campus, we also have the Brew by the Slough, which is our coffee house here that's located underneath the CSL dining hall. They're open till 10 o'clock. It's your quick place to grab a cup of coffee when you're studying in the library. If you're over in Westerland, then we also have the marketplace. That's a place to grab a quick snack and any little necessities you might need for the evening. We also have catering department, and Augie Treats that you can check out on our website as well. And that's all I've got. So Wes, if you're ready to wrap us up.
Well, thank you, Amy, and thank you, families, for joining us this evening for the last 90 minutes, where we have just completed session 1 of our 2-session family orientation summer program. As we talked about at the beginning of the session, this presentation will be available. The recording will be available on the Augustana orientation webpage in the coming days. There actually should already be a existing recording from last month's sessions out there on the website, and we update those as we move through the summer. But also just wanted to make sure that, knowing that we threw a lot of information at you over the last hour and a half, really what we hope one of the takeaways will be is that you now have some faces with names that you can put together to know that your students will have an abundance of resources here at the college for them to reach out to and be successful through. In addition, then obviously you are welcome to continue working with your admissions staff who you've been working with thus far, but we'd also encourage you to reach out to any of the folks that you've heard from this evening as you continue to navigate between now and the time that your students arrive on campus, which we're very excited for them to join us in August. With that, then again, just a reminder, 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks Tuesday at 7 p.m., we will have session 2. Again, that will cover other areas of the campus, such as a lot of student success perspectives in terms of academic learning, tutoring, counseling services, and things of that nature, well-being and resiliency, for example. So really encourage families to tune into session 2. And again, these recordings will be made available. So really appreciate everyone taking the time. Colleagues here at Augustana, thank you as always for providing great information. And families, we look very forward to seeing your students in the months ahead. Thank you all. That will conclude tonight's family orientation session. Take care.